If you're a subscriber of Squealing Pig Guitars, you'll know I am a self-proclaimed Gibson fanboy. I love vintage style guitars with thick necks and low wound pickups. But in today's episode, we're going to see if the Gibson Fanboy can survive the future. I'm checking out a Strandberg Bowden Prog 6.
It's got no headstock and it weighs as much as a sandwich.
So today's video is going to be an interesting one, so strap yourselves in and let's get straight into this Squealing Pig Guitars video. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury strand machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Keightley and today we're checking out a pretty wacky and wild Strandberg guitar. Here at Squealing Pig Guitars, our mission is to find the best guitars in the world. So we'll be rating this guitar on 3 aspects. Number 1, aesthetic. We're going to be rating the look of this guitar and the build quality. Number 2, playability and tone. We'll also be doing a gig test in this chapter so we can see how it sounds in a loud environment. And finally, number 3, we'll be talking about the value of this guitar and whether we think it's overpriced or it's priced just right. Of course, I am a Gibson fanboy. I love vintage style guitars, but today we're going to try and propel myself into the future a little bit and try something a little bit different. So without further ado, let's get straight into the aesthetic section of this video.
Oh yeah.
So here we are, this is the crazy Strandberg headless guitar. This is the Bowden Prog 6. Let's see what we get in the case. We've got a really high quality gig bag. We've got the Swedish flag there, the Strandberg logo. Very modern, very high quality. So inside we get the whammy bar. We then get a little wallet which has Strandberg on as well. Let's see what we get inside here, that's really cool. Oh, you get a toolkit, that's amazing, especially for this price of guitar. That's really good value. And you also get a Strandberg strap. So that's everything you get with the Strandberg. Now we're going to do the daylight test. Basically, you can take the guitar outside and see how it compares to the studio lighting. So let's go and do that now.
Okay guitarists, I'm outside now. I've got to say, the daylight isn't amazing today, but you can see how beautiful this guitar looks under the sunlight. So let's slow it down and compare it with the inside shot. Now let's head back inside and talk about the specs.
So guitarists, it's now time to run down the specs of this crazy Strandberg. Obviously it's a headless guitar, it's very small, looks a little bit like a Guitar Hero controller, but I'm a big fan of the kind of charcoal stain on this guitar. Obviously visually speaking, I'm not a big fan of like the contours and stuff like that, but the build quality of this guitar is sublime. This guitar is designed in Sweden, but it is made in Indonesia, but that factory in Indonesia is incredible. They produce some really nice instruments. So let's talk about the woods that make up this guitar. So on the back we have swamp ash, on the top we have flamed maple, which looks like 2 pieces. We then have a roasted maple neck with a rich light fingerboard which has a 20-inch radius on it. That's crazy. The neck profile is what they call the ender neck. And if I bring it into the kind of B camera, you'll see there's quite a rectangular stripe going through the middle of the guitar. And it shifts from the top of the neck all the way to the bottom of the neck. And I believe this is to kind of guide your thumb down the neck, so you're keeping that kind of thumb in the best position for kind of shred playing and classical playing. It's really designed to be sat in this position, a classical position, and in that position it actually feels very comfortable to play. Of course you've also got the fanned frets, which is like a multi-scale, so at the bottom you have 25.5 and at the top you have 25-inch scale length, which is really good because you can bend easily on the top notes, whereas the lower notes have more tension, which is going to help with tuning. In terms of the idea, I think it's an incredible idea, and to be honest, I don't really notice it when I play it, so it's done its job in my opinion. And then we have a set of Sir pickups for this guitar, which is quite a funny choice. We have an SSH Plus in the bridge, and then we have an SSV in the neck. This guitar was manufactured in 2021, and it's the more high-end version of the Strandberg. You'll now see that they kind of have an Essentials line, which is around that £999 mark, and then they have the more expensive one, which is around the 2K mark. This is obviously the original kind of expensive one. In terms of just looking at the guitar, I really love the features, like the logo on the back. It really does feel like the Tesla of a modern guitar. This guitar, in my opinion, is really well made. It's definitely one of the better headless guitars I've seen, and I can really appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into it. However, I'm not a big fan of the way it looks. I do like the finish, but I do think that the headless vibe is a little bit goofy in my opinion.
So I'm going to rate the Strandberg a 5 out of 10 for aesthetics. Let's move on.
So guitarists, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to hear this headless Strandberg in action. In the intro to today's video, I did my own version of My Name Is by Eminem. Obviously that kind of loop is so iconic. So I was using the bridge pickup of this guitar, and surprisingly this guitar actually has a really cool kind of controlled gain. It's not overly distorted. These pickups aren't pushing the amp too hard. It's actually a very playable sound and I enjoyed it. So this was the tone, bridge pickup. I got a tube screamer to that. So tonally speaking, it sounds awesome and the tremolo stays in tune really well, but how does it feel to play? Of course, it's got quite the weird carve to it, this kind of asymmetrical neck carve, which obviously lends itself to more kind of classical playing and more shreddy playing, so it's encouraging the thumb to kind of follow this line down here. Obviously, as you guys know, if you have observed my playing, or I'm more of a thumb over the back of the neck kind of guy. The only time I bring that thumb down is when I'm doing long legato lines, which this is perfect for. You know, if you go... So although I am using the thumb over the back of the neck sometimes, it's still a comfortable neck shape. It just feels like a very pronounced V. But so far, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by this guitar. Of course, these guitars are designed to be played like this in a classical position in a very upright format. And they're actually a really good couch guitar for that matter. It's so like effortless to play it, and I can really appreciate the design that goes into it. So I'm going to keep it in this position for a little bit, even though it might look a little bit goofy. It's actually very comfortable. So let's do the neck pickup now. So the big question is, coming from someone who plays Gibson guitars, more vintage style guitars, how does it feel to me? Personally, I can't notice the asymmetrical nature to the frets, obviously that means they're kind of fanned, and the neck isn't bothering me at all. It's actually quite a comfortable guitar to play. It feels a little bit like a Guitar Hero controller, but I mean that in the most affectionate way possible. It's a really cool design. I do think it's a little bit different from other things that you're seeing out there. So we have a 5-way position selector switch on this one, so we've got lots of tones to get through. So this is one position back, this is kind of like the neck split, that kind of position 4 on a Strat. Let's hear the middle position now. So I'd love to demonstrate to you guys some of the fingerstyle tones here, but unfortunately I had a little bit of an accident with a razor in my backpack, and I've slit the top of my 2 fingers here, which, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it hurts when I play, so I'm going to have to let them heal for a little bit, so it'll just be picking today. But I do think this guitar would be a really nice fingerstyle guitar. If I just use my 2 fingers here, this is going to be a bit more of a simplified version, but you can hear the nice sound of it. Especially with them thumb pick notes, it has a really nice kind of Jeff Beck quality. So now that we've heard some like crunchy, gainy tones, now let's hear some really heavy tones and see how these pickups sound in a high gain scenario. So let's go to patch 5 on the Kemper, and we're going to hear the metal sound. This is the neck position, perfect for legato. So guys, that is the end of the tone demonstration today, but we still have to do the gig test, which is my favorite part of these videos. So let's get the strap on, turn up the 2-Rock Bloomfield drive, and do the gig test. So guitarists, this is my favorite bit of these videos. It's time to do the gig test. You guys know the drill, so let's get straight into it. Let's hear the bridge pickup. Quite an interesting feedback type. We've got a little bit of tremolo there, which is quite interesting. So guys, that was a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed playing this Strandberg today. So that is the end of the gig test. Let's see what I rate it for playability and tone. So now we're on to the value chapter of this video. And of course, this guitar, in my opinion, is incredibly good value. We have this priced at around £1,500 on our Reverb page, which is a really good price for this guitar. It's incredibly well made. The materials are nice. They kind of have two lines now, the Essentials line, which is like sub £1,000, and then you have like the £2,000 plus ones. But in my opinion, this guitar is really well made. You're never gonna have a problem with the playability or the tuning of this guitar. This isn't a guitar I would typically go for, but I'm judging this against other shred guitars. So I'm not judging it in comparison to a Gibson or a Fender. I'm thinking of how it compares to ESP, Suhr guitars, stuff like that. In my opinion, for the price, you really can't go wrong. And even if you did buy one brand new from Anderton's, I think they sit for about $2,200 now. I think you definitely would keep a little bit of that money. You might lose, you know, 500 or 600 quid, but of course you are buying a new guitar at that point. For me personally, it's not really my type of instrument. Obviously, I'd prefer more of a rounded neck. I'm not a big fan of the ender neck, but in terms of how it plays for a shred guitarist, it's very good indeed. So in conclusion, I believe that this guitar is a really good value product. Of course, you would lose a little bit of money if you were to buy them brand new. However, if you pick one up on the second-hand market, I actually think it would be a really good value for you, and what you get is exactly what you see on the tin. So I'm going to score this an 8 out of 10 for value. So let's go to the conclusion of this video and tally up all the results. So guitarists, it's the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video. Before I get into my overall rating of this Strandberg, let me know in the comment section below what do you think of this guitar. Also, YouTube tells us that 77% of you guys that watch these videos are subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to change that by hitting the subscribe button and joining the Squealing Pig Guitars crew. We're on the mission to find the best guitars in the world, and we'd love you to join on the journey. So let's go over the ratings that I gave this guitar today. So in terms of aesthetics, which also includes, discussion about the build quality, I gave it a 5 out of 10. The positive part of this guitar is its build quality. It's very well made, and for the price that it's at, it's very nicely done. Then for playability and tone, I gave it a 7 out of 10. So let's total up the scores and see where it places on the squeal board. So the overall score for the Strandberg is a 6.6 out of 10. In my opinion, this is the perfect couch guitar or at-home guitar, especially if you have arthritis or you have some back problems. It would really help having a guitar that is so lightweight and so ergonomic. I really appreciate all the time that has gone into this guitar. It's very, very unique, and you don't really see anything else like it. For me though, it does lack a little bit of personality. Obviously, I like more vintage guitars that tend to have a bit more of a vibe about them. Of course, the tones were amazing. You had like a plethora of different tones, but for me, it didn't have a unique voice in any way. It's a very easy guitar to play, but for my style of playing, more blues and like kind of rock playing, I did find the neck very uncomfortable for bending and doing kind of lower string shreddy stuff. Just so you guys know, I'll be uploading the scores to the Squeal board. That's our leaderboard for all the reviews we do on the channel. So if you'd like to check out the Squeal board, hit the link down below. And just so you know, I'm rating this guitar today in comparison to other rock and metal guitars. So when I've come up with the result today, I'm also comparing it to Suhr and ESP, other guitars in its category. I figured it was a little bit unfair to compare it against Gibsons and Fenders, which I'm going to have a natural bias towards. So the rating you've got today is an honest rating of how I think it sits with other shred guitars. But guys, that is the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video. I hope you're all having a great start to your week, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. But until then, keep rocking guys. I'll see you soon.